Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing really well. In this video, which I'm going to title for the moment as Ask Tony, I'm going to be answering questions that I get a lot on both my Discord channel as well as the comments within my YouTube videos. In the beginning, while the channel was still establishing, I was able to answer questions one-on-one. However, as the channel has been growing, where I've had over 1,600 subscribers in the last month, it's becoming increasingly difficult to spread my time between making videos and content, my full-time job, and also answering those questions. So as I do get a lot of repeat questions, I thought that I would answer them here in this segment called Ask Tony. So as you can tell, I'm in a different location today. I'm filming in my office, which isn't very pretty just yet. You can see I do have a computer over in my right shoulder there, and that's my son's PC. I did make a video on how I built that, and I'll leave a link up there if you're interested in seeing that. It's a pretty cool build. So yeah, basically I'm in my study just to change of pace, and also because I have my PC just over here where I'm going to be reading out the questions. So the very first question that I've got is from Dr. Zira on my Discord, and Dr. Zira asks, what streaming services do you use? What services don't you use, and why? Personally, hate Netflix because of the bad video quality. Right, it's a really interesting question because I only have Netflix as the streaming service of choice for movies and TV shows. That's because there's not a huge variety over here. We do have another streaming service called Stan, and that's pretty good. I was subscribed to Stan, and it does have a lot of stuff on there that you can't get on Netflix. Like, it's got the whole James Bond collection, although I've got all of those on DVD, so the quality isn't as good as what you're gonna get, you know, 4K and all that they've released now for some of the James Bond movies. But look, I'm stuck with Netflix. In Australia, we don't get throttled at the moment. I know in America and some parts of Europe they get throttled on what used to be 4K and Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision content. We didn't really get throttled over here, which was pretty cool and very surprising. However, one of the drawbacks of Netflix that I've noticed is that in the recent weeks, some titles that were in 4K are now only being shown in HD and 5.1. Some of their newer series and things like, there's a new series of Snowpiercer, that's in 4K, Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, and it sounds fantastic. I think the quality is quite good. In terms of other streaming services, I'm yet to try them, but there's Disney Plus. That's something I do want to get into because it's got all of the Avengers series and some of the Marvel stuff on there, so I'd be really keen to see that. And also for sport, I use a service called KO, which is, I think, licensed through Foxtel, and Foxtel is like our premium sporting, you know, group as well. Like they show a lot of sporting channels on there. So yeah, I generally just use Netflix and KO, but I'm yet to experiment with some of the other ones, but I will in the near future. So thanks for the question. So my next question comes from A Shifter, and A Shifter is part of a duo called Two Guys Tech, and they have an awesome channel, and I'm going to link them up there, so do consider checking those guys out after you've seen this video. So A Shifter's question is, what was your very first home theater audio component? So that's a great question, and when I started to get into this, probably around the 2000s, where I was sort of, in Australia, home theater was not like it was potentially in the States, but I was super into it and I wanted to buy a projector, so I didn't get a projector straight away, but my first set of gear was a Panasonic SA HT880, I think it was. And that was a 5.1 setup with a sub, and it came with a little receiver, and that system cranked pretty good. Like, you could set your speakers long wires, you could set them in, you know, around your room, and I had that paired just with a TV. Just they weren't very big TVs back then. I think by 2000, I think it was 2007 when I got that system, and yeah, that was an awesome system. And then short time after I bought that, in 07, I ended up getting a Epson TW1000, which was one of the first native 1080p projectors that you could get. And I remember hooking it up and playing through my PS3, which could play HD, because HD was like, wow, play 1080p was amazing. And I remember playing Unforgiven, which was a Clint Eastwood movie in 1080p. It was obviously from film print, but it looked fantastic. I just projected it on my wall, never ended up getting a screen. But that was my first sort of bite of the cherry, so to speak, in terms of home theater. where I had the Panasonic 5.1 and also the Epson TW1000. So thanks A-Shifter for the question. Next, we have a question from Awesome Sauce. Awesome Sauce is also another YouTuber that I met. He's into entertainment and he does awesome flash videos and other comparison videos. He's got a really unique style. So I'll leave a link to him up in the cards above. So do consider checking him out as well. His content is very entertaining and he's got a very unique style in the way that he presents his content. He's gone, hey Tony, any idea of the mythical expensive speaker cable is true, or are there budget options? I bet copper purity and resistance matter, but is it measurable or is it just the feeling? I bought expensive cables, so my sound must be better. Placebo. Personally, I know that in my own experience in IT, when you have things like electrical cables or other things running near anything that runs an analog signal, you do get interference. Does it need to be super expensive? No. I think if you can get decently priced copper, you know, and as thick a gauge as you can, say between 10 and 14 gauge, even 16 gauge is okay, but anything that has some kind of shielding around it to protect it from signal interference, I think that's the way to go. Because even when you're wiring up your rack, they say that you should always run your power to one side and your audio to the other side, and you know, to run them in parallel so that they don't interfere. Now, that to me is the extent that I would go in terms of picking cables and things like that, because those are the things that will directly impact you. The price of those cables can vary. I think if you can get, you know, something that has good shielding, it's going to make all the difference in the world. And also in the way that you run your cables, just make sure that they don't run near any power, and I think you'll be good. Okay, the next question comes from Higher Being Boss, and that is, and I was waiting for one of these questions, is how do you keep your beard so groomed? Okay. So, beard question, all right. Yeah, I do spend a bit of time on my beard. Anyone that has a beard, especially you've got wavy hair, you do need to spend a bit of time on it. When you get up in the morning, it's gonna be blowing in all kinds of directions. So yeah, I do use a blow dryer. Any guy that has a beard at my length or longer, even a bit shorter, will tell you you need a blow dryer. There's no way that you can get it to do this and keep it straight without having a blow dryer. So I use beard oil, I use special beard conditioner and beard shampoo, and yeah, I spend a bit of time, maybe 10 to 15 minutes every day, probably a bit less, but that's my morning routine, about 15 minutes, you know, brushing teeth and all that. I spend that time on my beard. Thanks for the question. So the next question, again from Higher Being Boss, he gave me 3 good questions and I'll rattle them out quickly. He said, he asks, what's the best movie I've ever watched more than once? What do I recommend as the lowest budget for Atmos? And what is the best color for a dedicated home theater? So I'll start with the first one. I would say best movie I've watched, and in my opinion, and something that I've thoroughly enjoyed and watched more than once in my theater, is Captain America Winter Soldier. I am actually more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan. However, that movie is fantastic in the home theater. The sound design in that is just incredible. I love the action. My favorite scene in that movie is the elevator scene where Captain America's in there and he's about to get the beep kicked out of him, and yeah, really good movie. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'd say Captain America Winter Soldier. In answer to the next question, lower budget Atmos. Now, at the risk of creating some problems and some debate, I am going to say that I feel you need to go with in-ceiling speakers, or at least some elevation speakers, like proper Atmos elevation speakers, like the SVS and Klipsch, and they all make, you know, loudspeakers, round loudspeakers in ceiling. Anything in ceiling I think is good. But in terms of lower budget, Andrew Jones has released a set of upward firing Atmos speakers. I think that's on the lower end, it's a few $100s. I will fact check this when I'm editing the video, and I'll throw an image up and the price up. But I think those are upward firing speakers. I think they're pretty affordable. So if you want pseudo Atmos, I'll call it, or some kind of reflection of sound off the ceiling, I think that's probably the cheapest that you can go. Unless you want to make some yourself and angle them so they're bouncing off the roof. But in my opinion, you can't beat elevation speakers or in-ceiling. So yeah, that's the way I would go, and I did go. So I've got 6 in-ceiling speakers for that reason. But I digress, I go off on a tangent. So, and last question, what is the best color for a room? Now, me personally, I went with a matte black or a low sheen black paint. I found that that has given me virtually no reflection of light. And I think that's what you want to go for in a dedicated home theater. You can try and do any other kind of dark color, like red is also, or dark red, maroon, that absorbs light. Dark blue, that also absorbs light. Anything that is on the dark side of the color wheel. If you're going lights like yellows and, you know, lighter colors like that, and creams and whites, you will definitely get reflection, and in my opinion, it wrecks the experience. I was always in a room on a projector in a white room, and it just doesn't feel right. But now I'm sitting in my home theater and it's pitch black, and that's how you want to see. You just want to be immersed in what you're looking at on the screen and listening to. So yeah, matte black. Thanks for the question. I have another question. This one is from Swaroop61. And he says, how do you decide on screen aspect ratios between 2.35 to 1 or 16 to 9? What's your preference? What is your thoughts on Atmos upfiring speakers? Can they really match actual ceiling speakers? So you can see there are some questions about Atmos, and I do get quite a few of them. So I'll answer the first part first, and I think you get the best versatility out of a 16:9 screen, because most TV streamers, streaming boxes, menu systems, all operating 16:9. So if you have a 2.35 to 1, it's going to squish it in, and you're going to end up getting a smaller picture. So I personally like the big menu that you can see on the screen. That way you don't feel like you're missing out on anything, or it's just small. Whereas when you're watching a movie, it's just goes that way, and you still get the full width of, you know, the movie that you're watching. Yes, you do get black bars, but you know, it all depends on your application. So yeah, my preference 16:9 for the reasons I mentioned mostly. In terms of Atmos, I've answered those questions already. I'm not a huge fan of upfiring. I have listened to upfiring Atmos speakers. Not for me. I can still tell where they're coming from. I have to really concentrate, and yeah, it does sound like it's coming from overhead, but at the same time I can hear it at the front. So that's just me and my ears. Maybe I wasn't in the best room when I was listening to it, but that's just my personal preference and experience. Right, and there are tons more questions that I didn't get through. I am saving some for another segment if this video does well. So smash that like button for me. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm and pushing the video. So if you're a subscriber to the channel, please make sure you hit the like button for me, and join our Discord. I'll leave a link to the Discord in the description down below. Jump on. We are approaching 100 members. So there's a lot of chatter on there, and everyone's sharing their ideas. We've got some great people on there, really friendly bunch. There's no elitists on there. Everyone just seems to, you know, want to help each other and answer questions. So do join our Discord. Righto guys, again, thank you, and you'll catch me in the next video. Bye for now.